Quick question. If you applied for business funding today, do you actually know what a lender would see? Because here's the truth. Most businesses don't get denied because they're failing. They get denied because they're not positioned correctly. That's why I created the Business Funding Readiness Quiz. In under 60 seconds, this free quiz shows you if your business is fundable right now, what's quietly holding you back, and exactly what to fix before you apply. No credit pull, no impact to your score, just clarity. And when you finish, you'll get a personalized result plus clear next steps so you're not guessing anymore. So before you submit another application or leave money on the table, take the free Business Funding Readiness Quiz. Go to getfundingready.com. That's getfundingready.com and take the free quiz. Welcome to Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, the #1 podcast and resource for Black entrepreneurs. I'm your host, Jay Jones, and Black Entrepreneur Blueprint was created specifically to educate and inspire Black entrepreneurs to launch, build, and grow successful, sustainable businesses. Join us as we help build an economic power base in the worldwide Black community by building and supporting Black-owned businesses. If you're currently an entrepreneur or want to be an entrepreneur, you're invited to join us each and every week here at Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Welcome to the BEB family and get ready to elevate your entrepreneur IQ. Welcome to the Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, episode number 609. I'm your host, Jay Jones, and today we have another outstanding and informative show in store for you. Today's show topic is The System is Rigged. Why banks say no to Black businesses and what to do instead. The system is rigged, guys. Why banks say no to Black businesses and what to do instead. So if you've ever been denied a business loan or offered sky-high interest rates or told to come back later, you're not alone, and it's not because you're failing. Now, in this episode, I'm going to break down the uncomfortable truth that traditional banks were never designed for us in the first place. Also, first-generation wealth builders, which puts Black entrepreneurs at a built-in disadvantage before we even ever apply for funding. Now, I'm going to break down how banks really decide who gets money, why profitable businesses still get rejected, and what smart entrepreneurs are doing right now to position themselves for funding anyway. Now, I want to remind you, this is part 2 to episode number 608, which was titled, Why Being Profitable Still Isn't Enough to Get Funded. So make sure you listen to episode 608 before you listen to episode 609, because we lay down the foundation. You already know the truth, guys. We laid it out before. Just because your business is profitable doesn't mean it's fundable. And we broke down why revenue alone isn't enough, and why so many entrepreneurs are confused by loan denials, and how the funding system actually evaluates businesses very differently than the way we were taught to build them. So make sure you check out episode 608, which was titled Why Being Profitable Still Isn't Enough to Get Funded, and then roll into this episode 609, The System is Rigged, Why Banks Say No to Black Businesses and What to Do Instead. Now, before we get to today's show content, let me just share a few things with the Black Entrepreneur Blueprint family. First and foremost, I want to welcome all first-time listeners to Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Welcome to the BEB family. Please stick around until the end of today's broadcast, and I'm going to share all my social media contact information and resource links, such as the link that you heard earlier in the podcast on the intro, getfundingready.com. Now, if you want to grow and scale your business, most times you're going to need funding unless you decide to bootstrap it. Now, in order to get funding, you have to know the playbook. So go to getfundingready.com, take the short funding quiz, and within 60 seconds, you'll get personalized results with action steps to take for the next step. Go to getfundingready.com, free 60-second quiz. You owe it to yourself and your business to go take the quiz. Now, let's get ready for today's show content. Now, today's episode may step on a couple of toes, but that's all right. You got 10 of them. Don't even worry about it. But this needs to be said, guys, because if you're a black business owner who's ever applied for a business loan and got denied, or if you ever been offered a ridiculous, crazy interest rate, or if you've been told come back when you've been in business longer, this episode is for you. Now, today we're talking about the hard truth that the system is rigged, but more importantly, we're going to talk about how to win anyway. You have to understand the playing field and the rules in order to win. So let me paint a picture for you. You got a real business, you've got customers, you've got revenue, you got money coming in every month, and you walk into the bank confident and you walk out confused, frustrated, and angry. And what makes it even worse, guys, they don't even explain to you why you were denied. And here's the truth most people won't tell you. Most black entrepreneurs don't get denied because they're irresponsible. They get denied because the system was never built with them in mind. So think about this. Banks were designed around generational wealth, long financial histories, and existing banking relationships. And many times we just don't have that. So three are the most important things we've never had access to. So even when you're doing the right thing, guys, on paper, you still look like a risk. And this is why you have to understand how to position your business and your application to mitigate that risk. Now, let's break this down simply, and we're going to talk about how banks really decide who gets the money. Now, the truth is banks don't lend based on potential, guys. They lend based on profiles and patterns. I talked about this last week, episode 608. Make sure you go listen to it. They lend based on profiles and patterns, and they look at what's called the 5 C's of lending, like ABC, the 5 C's of lending. They look at credit, cash flow, collateral, character, and conditions. Credit, cash flow, collateral, character, and conditions. Now, here's where the game gets unfair. Many black entrepreneurs have thin or damaged personal credit. I can attest to that. I've had bad credit throughout the years with my businesses because some of my businesses failed. I almost lost it all twice, and my credit got jacked up. But here's the beautiful thing about credit, guys. All credit is a snapshot of where you all are today. If you know how to manipulate credit, you'll be able to get back on your feet. So, all right. So now here's where the game gets unfair. Many of us have thin or damaged personal credit. Also, we haven't established strong business credit, and we're going to talk about that today. So when you're looking for business funding, you're going to need what? Business credit. We don't have large cash reserves, and we don't own assets that we can leverage. Now, many times the biggest asset that we have is our home, and a lot of times we don't want to leverage that, and that is an individual decision. I get it. I understand. You may not be comfortable leveraging your primary residence for your business. So once again, guys, it's profiles and patterns. Credit, cash flow, collateral, character, and condition. Those are the 5 C's. So many times we get denied, not because we're lazy, but because we're first generation wealth builders, and the system penalizes that. We don't have a long-standing business banking relationships like other ethnicities who've been in business for a long time and have had that. So that's something that we have to take into account. You look at some of the wealthiest families in the United States, the J.P. Morgans, the DuPonts. J.P. Morgans own their own bank. DuPonts, wealthy and generational wealth. So they've established those type of relationships. Now, let's talk about the controversy. Is the system discriminatory or not? So we need to address the elephant in the room, guys. Is the traditional banking system discriminatory? And here's my honest opinion. Yes, I think it is. And we've seen redlining, and we've seen things that are unfair against us as an ethnicity. But once again, we have to understand the playing field and understand the game. Now, banks are rules-based machines, and this is what you have to understand. They lend based on historical data, right? So the problem is that we're locked out of building that history. So even without overt racism, the system creates built-in bias, All right. Now, we know what the overt racism is with the redlining, higher interest rates, and things of that matter. So it actually rewards people who already had access and punishes people who are building from scratch, which is us. Now, that's not accidental. That is the actual structure of things. And so in terms of the banking system, it wasn't set up for us. So we have to understand and know the playing field and know the rules to be successful. Should we boycott banks? That's another controversial question. I've seen people boycott all types of things, and I'm all for boycotting things. But should black entrepreneurs boycott banks altogether? One of the options is bank black, right? We have Greenwood, we have other banks, we can bank black. But I'm going to keep it real with you guys. You don't boycott the money. That's the real deal. You don't boycott the money. What you do is you learn the rules of the game and play it better than anybody else. We're masters at that, right? You hear people say all the time, oh, this is chess, not checkers. And what cracks me up is most people that say that don't even know how to play chess, right? But banks, they're not emotional, guys. They're not personal. They're algorithmic. So you have to understand the algorithm and the playing field. So the mistake isn't applying for funding, guys. The mistake is actually applying for funding when you're unprepared. That's why go to getfundingready.com to take the free quiz. It's going to give you information about where you are and what you need to do to get funding. So it's like basically walking into a casino, guys, without knowing the rules and being mad when you lose. That's what trying to get a loan is. So in terms of boycotting the banks, you can definitely boycott the banks if you want and bank black, which I definitely recommend. I have a Greenwood account and I bank with several black banks, but you don't walk away from the money. You have to understand how to get that money and how to access that money. Now, let's talk about the real problem nobody talks about. Banks don't lend to people, guys. They lend to financial profiles. Here's the truth. They don't lend to people unless you're getting a personal loan. But even your personal loan has a financial profile. So banks don't lend to people, they lend to financial profiles. So many entrepreneurs walk into the bank with a smile on their face, walk out with a frown on their face, and they say to themselves, why don't they believe in me? But the bank is thinking, is this profile fundable? That's why business structure matters, business credit matters, cash flow documentation matters, and how your business looks on paper matters. You can have a great business and it can still be unfundable. And we talked about that in last week's episode number 608. 608, last week's episode, in 609. It's part 1 and part 2. So make sure if you have not listened to episode 608, that's the foundation. Listen to that. And that's not moral failure, guys. It's an education gap. Okay, this is why we're not getting funded. Now, let's talk about some real funding solutions. All right. Yeah, there are alternatives to funding. So we have business credit, we have fintech lenders, we have revenue-based funding, we have private capital, and we have strategic business loans. Now, I'm not going to go super in-depth in all of these because that would take a whole nother show. But every single one of these still evaluates credit, cash flow, and risk. So there's no magic money out there floating around. People be like, oh, you need a pulse and you can get $50,000 worth of credit. Come on now. You still have to have credit, cash flow, and there's a risk involved. So the entrepreneurs who get funded consistently, guys, aren't lucky. They're better positioned. So let's talk about business credit. Business credit obviously is exactly what it sounds like. That's getting or creating a business credit profile using Dun & Bradstreet's and other platforms to create a business credit profile. Fintech lenders, so you have financial tech lenders out there. Revenue-based funding, you have merchant cash advances based on the revenue that you bring in, and you can actually get loans based on your credit card receipts. You have private capital, and you have strategic business loans. So these are the real funding solutions. But remember, every single one of these still evaluates credit, cash flow, and risk. We know what credit is. You want to have good credit personally and in business. You want cash flow. Cash flow is the lifeblood of any business. If you don't have cash flow, guess what? It's going to be hard to operate. So, for example, in my mortgage business, I do several loans a month. Probably I'm a one-man shop. I'm a boutique shop, which is the way I want it. I close anywhere from 6 to 10 loans a month. Now, if there's a month, and there have been months where I may only close one loan a month, my cash flow is hurting. So once again, cash flow, they evaluate that, and risk. What type of risk are you presenting in terms of being able to pay the money back? So once again, that's why you have to be good on paper, not just good in business. All right. Now let's talk about the wake up call, guys. Here's the real reason many people never get funded. They actually self-reject themselves. They assume they're not going to qualify. You may apply randomly. You guess instead of preparing. And then they say, man, the system doesn't work. But the truth is, guys, the system does work when you understand it. The system does not work when you don't understand it. And that's the whole thing. Funding is not about luck. Once again, it is about positioning. So here's my question to you guys. Are you tired of bootstrapping everything? Right? I've done that many a times. I bootstrap most of my businesses. Several of my businesses, like my product business, I was able to get funding. I showed the credit, the cash flow, and the risk factor. All right. Are you hitting financial ceilings? Are you watching your business stall because of lack of capital? All right. So the whole key, guys, is time to stop guessing. So I've created a business funding quiz. GetFundingReady.com. Make sure you go to GetFundingReady.com. It is a quick 60-second quiz that's going to analyze where you are in your business, and it's going to give you actionable steps to get funded. So make sure you go to GetFundingReady.com. Now, in the last segment of the show, which we're coming up on, I'm going to tell you guys a real life story about me getting funded. And also, I'm going to talk about some of the things that you need to put into place right now for you to get funding and position yourself for funding. But before I do that, guys, let me just share all my social media contact information and resource links. So I mentioned at the top of the show, you guys heard the pre-roll ad. Make sure you go to GetFundingReady.com. It is a free 60-second quiz that is going to show you exactly where you are in terms of positioning to get funding. Are you ready? Not ready? When what you need to do. So go to GetFundingReady.com. Also, make sure that you guys go to the website Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. We have all types of free resources to help you elevate your entrepreneur IQ. Go to blackentrepreneurBlueprint.com, hit the Learn tab. There's a drop down. We have all types of free resources for marketing, scaling and growing your business, mindset, e-commerce, everything you need to take your business from point A to point B. Now, if you want to get in touch with me, anything long, guys, hit me on my email, jjones@blackentrepreneurBlueprint.com, JAYJONES @blackentrepreneurBlueprint.com, Facebook, Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Instagram, I have 2 IG accounts. The first one is J Jones for Real, JAYJONES, the number 4, REAL. Second one is Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. LinkedIn, connect with me there. Go to LinkedIn, type in J Jones, Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. YouTube, make sure you go to YouTube and subscribe to the channel. Just go to YouTube, type in Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Make sure you hit that subscribe button because we have additional content on YouTube that is not on the podcast. Also, for everybody that is listening or watching the show now, make sure you hit the subscribe button wherever you're connected with the show so you'll be alerted to the new episodes that drop. We drop every Monday morning, 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on all your major podcast platforms and YouTube. Also, I almost forgot, on X, Twitter, whatever, you can connect with me there. JJones001, JAYJONES001. Now, let's get back to the last segment of the show. Now, I want to share a real life story about me getting funded actually from multiple platforms with one of my product brands. So I mentioned to you guys, if you've ever listened to the show, I was super big on selling on Amazon starting in 2014, 2015, creating my own brands, selling on Amazon, doing over $1 million on Amazon. So it's funny, if you are an Amazon seller that's a serious seller, Amazon has funding. And so as I was moving all of this product, all of my brand, Amazon reached out to me and they gave me a line of credit for $100,000. So they gave me funding. I literally didn't even ask for it. But based on certain platforms that you're selling on, they know that you need money for supply chain. So when I have my own private label, Flatiron brands, they know I have to, do the manufacturing. I have to do the shipping and the whole shebang. So they gave me a very nice credit line offer without me asking. Also, Stripe, which is a payment processor. I do a lot of business with Stripe. So on my own stores, the volume that I had, Stripe reached out to me. And they were like, hey, based on your, credibility, your cash flow and the risk factors, it looks like, we can offer you a line of credit to help you build and grow your business. So a lot of times, depending upon the type of business you have and the platforms that you're selling on, you may get offered funding from those platforms. So Amazon funding, Stripe has funding. I think PayPal has it. And then there are other funding companies out there like On Deck and things of that nature that focus on business funding. Now, business funding can come in many forms. You have working capital loans. So that's loans that you need for working capital to keep the business running. You have merchant cash advance loans. I mentioned that earlier. If you accept credit cards, like you're a restaurant and most of your sales are through credit cards, they'll actually give you a loan based on the credit card revenue that you have on a monthly basis. You have standard business lines of credit, equipment leasing. So if you need equipment for your business, say you have a food truck or whatever, and you need a new stove, you have equipment leasing. You also have long-term business loans, and you also have factoring. And so if you have invoices coming in, and I did a lot of this too, you can actually sell your invoices at a discount to get the money right away. So how factoring works is this. Say you get a big order from, just say, a store you're selling to Whole Foods, and they need 100,000 bottles of my hot sauce. They send me an invoice, but guess what? Those invoices aren't payable for anywhere from 45 to 60 days if you're lucky. So what that means is I have to go out and produce the 100,000 bottles, ship them to Whole Foods, and then wait for my money. What happens if I don't have the money to do that? So what factoring comes into play is this. So I get the invoices from Whole Foods, and they're going to pay me, $500,000 or whatever for that order. The order may cost me $250,000. So I'm just using these fictitious numbers. And that means I have a $250,000 profit. Problem is I don't have the $250,000 to fulfill the order. So what I do now is I go to a factoring company who will actually buy that $500,000 invoice for a discount. So maybe they buy it for $475,000. They make $25,000. I get the $475,000. And I keep the difference of what the cost is. I keep the difference from the $475,000 I get from the factoring company minus the $250,000 it costs to produce those 100,000 bottles. And so you have all types of different financing. So if you need financing questions, guys, make sure you go to getfundingready.com. If you have any questions for me about financing, I'm in the mortgage space. I do business financing. Reach out to me on my email, or just go do the getfundingready.com quiz to see what happens, and your email will be in there, and I can reach out to you, or you can reach out to me. But my email is jjones@blackentrepreneurblueprint.com if you have any additional questions about business financing or funding. So today we talked about the system is rigged, why banks say no to black businesses, and what to do instead. Remember, guys, it's about positioning. Yes, there's redlining out there. Yes, there's discrimination. But one of the biggest things is we don't understand how to position our businesses and ourselves to be successful in getting loans. Remember, banks are looking at the 5 C's: credit, cash flow, collateral, character, and conditions. So if you're when it comes to conditions, if you're in a booming industry, just say the real estate market, was booming. That's a good thing, right? But in 2008, when the real estate market crashed, that's a bad thing. So banks base their lending on risk. Okay. And remember, every single one of the loan types, it doesn't matter if it's a business credit, fintech lenders, revenue-based funding, private capital, strategic business loans, working capital, merchant cash advances, equipment leasing, invoice factoring. Every single one of these still evaluates credit, cash flow, and risk. So it's about getting your business in order, positioning your business to look good on paper. So with my mortgage business, I do residential, I do commercial, and I also do business loans or business funding. So I know exactly what I'm talking about here. It's all about positioning the deal to make sense to the lender. I don't care if it's a residential property, you're buying a new home or your first home. I don't care if it's a commercial property. I don't care if it's a business loan. It's about how you position yourself on paper for them to make it more amenable to lend to you. Okay, so it's all about positioning. Yes, there's racism, there's redlining, there's all types of stuff. But one of the biggest things I always talk about is recognizing and understanding the playing field. Once you know the rules of the game, you can be successful. Okay, if you're trying to get funded and you don't know and just throwing in applications and getting denied and denied and denied, that's not a good thing. Because once you start getting all these denials, that's going to play a part, just like it is in personal credit, where it's going to mess up your business credit. So if you have credit challenges, you can reach out to me. I have people, that do credit repair, or I can show you how to do it yourself. Some people like to do it themselves. Other people who have the money, they say, hey, let somebody else work on this for me. So I got a couple of good credit repair guys that do that stuff. So if you need any help, reach out to me on my email, or if you have questions about getting funded, hit me on my email, jjones@blackentrepreneurblueprint.com, JAYJONES@blackentrepreneurblueprint.com. Now, as a side note, I talked about some of the reasons why we don't get funded. And a lot of times we are the first real wealth builders in our family line. And so we don't have those business banking relationships. We don't have those connections that are going to take us to the next level. And so we need to start to establish these connections. So when our children and their children's children's children come along, they'll know that, oh, grandpa, pop, yeah, he used to bank at such and such. We have a long-standing relationship at this bank. And once again, it's all about positioning, but you need to have those relationships. You need to understand, guys, why you're not getting approved for these business loans, or it could be personal loans. I know there's a lot of, gurus, quote unquote, out there telling you about, go to Navy Federal or go to this place, say this, say that. That's all fine and dandy. But if you want to build a solid foundation, not a hustle, but a real business, you need to understand how to position yourself. Not all of this hocus pocus BS that's going to get you jammed up. Just like when a lot of these nuts were out here talking about these PPP loans. Oh, yeah, you do this, that, and the other thing. You can get this PPP loan, and then half of them end up in jail, bought all kinds of luxurious stuff that had nothing to do with business. And guess what? That's a hustle mindset. It's not a system mindset. It's not a long-term business mindset. There's nothing wrong with hustling and grinding. I get it. Been there, done that. But it's about building systems. It's about positioning yourself and your business for success. And when you need to grow and scale and you need money, your paperwork has to be in order, right? Somebody's looking at your business, and here's a real life example. My first cousin, who's just like my brother, he's buying a business a marble and granite business, and he's going through with the seller of the business, and their paperwork is in shambles. The invoices aren't done on a computer. A lot of them are handwritten. Now, you probably think, well, why is he going to buy the business? There's opportunity in chaos. So if he can put the pieces together, put that puzzle together, and see where all the leaks and the cracks and the holes are that money is falling through, he can take this business, systematize it, position it where now the business is running at maximum efficiency, and now he can make money and eventually sell the business at a multiple much higher than what he bought it at. Now, let's think about that scenario from the seller's point of view. That seller is not getting maximum value for their business because they haven't positioned their business correctly. They could have gotten way more money for the business if the business was in order. So that's why, you talk about keeping your books in order. Make sure you listen to episode 608. That was the previous episode. These two episodes, guys, go back and forth together. They are a pair. They are part 1 and part 2. That episode was titled, Why Being Profitable Still Isn't Enough to Get Funded, episode 608. So make sure you listen to that if you haven't listened to that yet, and listen to 608 and this episode 609 back to back. That's going to teach you guys how to understand the playing field, what the rules are to get funded. So even if you have a small business, I would recommend using software such as QuickBooks to be able to create profit and loss statements, everything you need for your business. Your business may start off small, but the beauty of it is you're going to have all your records, your transactions, and everything intact. And once again, that's positioning your business for success. That's positioning your business to get funded. We're so worried about the hustle mentality, which is great. We need that hustle and grind mentality, but that's only going to take you so far. You need to have systems in place. You need to have business acumen. I always talk about elevate your entrepreneur IQ. That's what this is for. Black Entrepreneur Blueprint is for that. That's to help you move from point A to point B with actionable steps, not rah-rah BS that you're going to get all super excited. You're going to run through the wall. Then you're going to turn around, scratch your head and say, hey, man, what do I do next? We don't do that. We're not in it for clicks and views and all that. We're based on serious, actionable content to help you move your business from point A to point B. If you want all the rah-rah stuff, I'm not that dude. All right. But what we try to focus on, guys, is helping you move from point A to point B by elevating your entrepreneur IQ, giving you impactful episodes that are going to make sense and that are going to help you move your business along to be successful and, most of all, sustainable. And in order to do that, guys, you need to learn how to position your business. If you have bad credit right now, personally, you need to start working on that. If you have bad credit in your business or no credit in your business, you need to learn how to get that credit started and position yourself for success. Remember, banks work off of algorithms. Yes, there is some bias in banks, but if your paperwork looks good, your cash flow looks good, your credit looks good, and your risk is in that ballpark and that parameter that they lend on, guess what? You're going to get the money. So let's focus on getting positioned to be successful and getting positioned to be fundable. Make sure you take the quiz, getfundingready.com, 60-second quiz. It is free, and it's going to spit out some information for you, tell you where you are on your funding road and what you need to do to take the next steps. One last thing before we close out, guys. I want to ask you guys to do me a favor. If you made it this long through the podcast episode, which most of my BEB family members do, please share this episode 608 and 609 with all of your people, all of your network. Because in order to grow and build successful, sustainable businesses, guys, we need to have access to capital. And that's what these two episodes are about. So please go to the website, wherever you saw this at, or if you're on Apple or whatever, Spotify, wherever it is. Share this with not just your entrepreneurs, share this with your entire network. We want these 2 episodes to go viral. We have a lack of access to capital, and a lot of it is because, number one, the system is rigged, but more importantly, we don't know how to position ourselves to be successful in terms of getting capital. So please, I don't ask much, but please share this with your entire networks. Episode 608, why being profitable still isn't enough to get funded. And this episode 609, the system is rigged, why banks say no to black businesses and what to do instead. And also share getfundingready.com. All of the show notes, guys, are on the website, blackentrepreneurBlueprint.com. Just hit episode 608 or 609 in the latest episodes. Anything you missed, the show notes are there. The links will be on the show notes. So make sure you share this episode. Now, I say this each and every week because it is true. We get more and more downloads because of you, the BEB family. I appreciate you guys so much. Please continue to spread the word about the podcast, the online courses, the books, the ecosystem, the new quiz, getfundingready.com. Everything is designed to build your entrepreneur IQ and help you grow successful, sustainable businesses. Remember, guys, it's not about me. It's not about you. It's about us. It's about building an economic power base in the worldwide black community by building and supporting black-owned businesses. Love you guys. See you same time next week. Peace.